Welcome to Spill Your Milk, the podcast where infant feeding, lactation, and orofacial development come together in insightful yet casual conversations.
We're your hosts, Nicole Edwin and Kayla Richardson, speech-language pathologists and international board-certified lactation consultants.
We're here to help you navigate the world of infant feeding, airway health, and holistic wellness. Whether you're a seasoned parent, expecting your first baby, or a professional working with babies, this podcast is for you.
From breastfeeding and bottle feeding tips to developmental feeding and body work, we're tackling it all. Plus, we'll share some real stories from families and interview experts across the field.
So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's spill some milk. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Subjectively good. We were just waiting for our headphones to charge, and then we just started to have this really good conversation, and we were like, we should be recording. Which is exactly why, like, if you just put us at, we said this at the first episode, it's like you put us in a room together, we have all these great conversations that we feel like other people need to hear, and then we just found ourselves having one while we were not recording, and we were like, oh my gosh, turn on the recording. So we're going to fill you in on what we're talking about. Quentin's here with us. He's having a moment.
He's trying to take a nap.
He's trying to take a nap. He's tired. So I am in burnout right now. And my daughter Audrey, who is 8, sees Nicole a couple of times a month for feeding therapy, where the big focus right now is expanding her diet. She's very selective, very picky, and it's been wonderful because I felt like I got her to a certain place, and then I was able to be like, I can't do anymore as her mother. I just need to be her mother. Mm-hmm. And so we started to do appointments with Nicole to work on this, and it's been great because she really has taken some ownership, I would say. Like, I think that's the most positive thing we have taken away from it so far, is that she recognizes that her diet is extremely limited. She knows that trying new foods is hard for her, and sometimes at home when we're trying to implement the strategies that I know to do, obviously there's a lot of pushback because I am her parent.
Of course.
And this just is the message that you guys, if this is you and you're in this position, like, you can do everything, you can know all the things, and you still may need an outside therapy.
Because you're mom. You're the parent.
Yeah, I know, right? And so, like, I don't know, it's just been really beautiful to watch her come in here and work with you, and then, like, she has these moments in here where she's, like, really brave and willing to try new things, and we even see it outside of therapy. Like, she'll be like, I'm gonna try this. Will you tell Nicole?
She has somebody to be accountable to and to be excited for.
Right? Yeah, so that's been a really beautiful thing, and again, as a therapist, something I already knew, but as a parent on that side, it's like, it's fun to watch, and it's fun to see how effective the therapy can be, right? But lately...
But what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, like, the limitations of therapy, but why?
Absolutely, because what we were talking about is that, like I said, I'm in burnout, and I, too, am a selective eater. And it's one of the reasons I'm good at my job, because I can relate to these kids. I know what they're feeling.
Yep.
But as an adult who's worked through a lot of this, I have the capability to be like, okay, well, sure, I'd rather eat this taco than this broccoli, but I know what this broccoli can do for my body. I can cook it in a way that I enjoy, even though I'd still rather have the taco,
Truth.
And work through some of that. But when I am in burnout, it's the first thing to go. I will DoorDash. I will take my kids out to dinner. I do not have the capacity to grocery shop. I do not have the capacity to meal plan, and I do not have the capacity to cook. And I used to say I don't have time. I have time. I don't have the capacity.
And that's such an awareness. You need to be able to step back and be like, oh, I can say I don't have time for this, but really it comes down to I don't have the capability right now.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And like, what an incredible, I want to say tool, I guess it is, but how could another parent like listen to this and analyze and be like, oh, my kid's in feeding therapy right now. It's not them that's struggling, it's me.
Yeah. Well, it's probably both
Well,
of you.
and that's true.
But I think traditionally in feeding therapy, there's this like idea like we're going to work on this in here, and then we really need your participation at home and your carryover at home. And that's a big and important piece of the therapy.
It's huge.
But what happens as a parent when you are not capable of doing that in the moment? Right? And I think the awareness is, A, do you have enough self-awareness to realize that that's what's going on with you too? And to like, I think what I'm struggling with is like giving myself grace about it, because I used to have this terrible self-talk about it of like, oh, why can't you do this? You're lazy, you're gross, like you had Taco Bell twice this week, like delivered to your doorstep, like what's wrong with you? But the more work that I have done in self-awareness and understanding my body and my brain is like when I'm in burnout, my body does this thing where it's like, I don't know the word for it. It decides what's important and what my energy needs to go
It
to.
prioritizes its
Thank you.
capabilities.
It prioritizes its capabilities because clinically, I am still great at my job. I am getting my kids to school and all of their activities. I'm getting myself to work. I'm still emotionally present for my children. So like my body is prioritizing, but it's like, hey girl, just stick with your safe foods right now. We don't
Wow.
have the capability for broccoli today.
Shoot.
Right. And over time, the nice thing to see is like, I know this isn't going to last forever. I have long periods where I'm eating a very balanced, like well-rounded diet with lots of vegetables, lots of
You've
fruits,
meal
lots of,
prepped. You're coming into the clinic with your lunches. You're winning at life.
I'm winning. But when I'm burnt out, it is 100% the first thing to go. And
Right.
like I said, I used to be like, oh, well, I don't have time to cook or whatever. And, you know, anybody who knows me knows like my husband's a pilot, so he travels a lot. A lot of the time I'm responsible for everything in my house. And so when I start to get burnt out, which like this month, it's like we went on a trip, so he's working more because he took the time off to
Right.
be with us. And so he's just like gone more. And so I feel myself in this spiral, this burnout, and some emotional things have popped up, some, that I've had to just like give my attention to. And so I'm just like, this is where I'm at right now. It's chicken nuggets in the air fryer, DoorDash to my front doorstep, DoorDashing every day at work that I need a lunch or skipping lunch altogether. But what we were really talking about is I was just like, I haven't had the capacity to carry over what we've been doing in here.
Right. And so you were honest with me and being like, hey, we've had these great sessions, but we haven't revisited that.
Yeah.
And I felt really good about those. And I thought I could do this, and it didn't happen. So those are like real conversations that parents need to have when if their kids are in therapy too. And not to feel shame about it or whatever they're feeling, because it's just like, man, this is life. We're even under the best circumstances, we are still parents that are like, I have to think of what I'm going to eat every single day, not just for myself, but the meal I need to buy or plan for and prepare and make for everybody for the rest of my life. I know we've all seen that on Instagram and been like, the hardest
No one
thing in
warned me
life.
that this was adulthood. Like I can't even describe sometimes like for me personally, and I think that for some people this is not a huge problem
Oh my
for
God,
them.
it's easy and something they love.
Yeah, but it for sure is for me like the mental fatigue of every single day deciding what I'm going to feed myself and my children is awful. It is so fatiguing to me. Like I
Yeah,
hate it.
yeah. And so what can we do? Or what can we recognize about our limitations for kids in feeding therapy? Not only are the parents feeling this, the kids are feeling this, and then the parents are needing to take the responsibility of planning and preparing. And a lot of what I was saying earlier was when I get kiddos to a certain point where they feel a little more safe and adventurous, they've found a safe place in the therapy room, they will try anything but what that next step is carry over at home. And so a lot of times when what I said, for example, is like food at school is genuinely very hard for kids. So they will always prepare a lunch from home, but it's always the same foods. So one of the things I like to do is find a new food to
Every
bridge off
day,
of.
every day is 6 slices of salami, carrots, and strawberries or blueberries. Every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are not the only parent, and she is not the only child that's going through this.
Hmm.
And that's what's safe. And what I hear right there is a protein and a complex carb. Is it a complex carb? Is a fruit a complex carb? Does it fall into that? I can't even
I
remember off
have
the
no
top of my
idea.
head.
We gotta ask Teresa. I don't know. That's what I
That's
told
why
her.
we have
I'm
a
like,
dietitian.
I don't know the content of the crazy foods. No, what I was gonna say is like, I'm very proud of that lunch. We worked really hard to get there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that was not always the lunch. So like, we are at a point, Dan and I both, where we're like, we know the importance of variety, but sometimes that's the best meal of her day. She eats it all,
Right.
and it is well rounded. And
Right.
so for this period of time, we've just been like, yeah, it's totally fine that she eats that every day
Mm-hmm.
because she used to not have any vegetables in her repertoire
Mm-hmm.
and would rather, gosh, I can't even think back to what she was even eating before, but it was
Probably had
lots of
something with chocolate.
processed, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, so like we're very happy with that lunch. Yeah, not a chance she would eat the school lunch, not a chance.
Yeah.
But which also goes back to like sometimes in therapy, I'm like, my goal for your kid is not to eat like 100 different foods. I want them to have a handful of each of the each of the
Mm-hmm.
categories we're working towards. So that maybe there's 3 different vegetables I could put in
Mm-hmm.
Audrey's lunch. Like, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, we're very happy with
Mm-hmm.
that lunch. We're
Mm-hmm.
proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the end
Yeah. Oh God,
of the
no.
journey.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's work to be done. I think I sidetracked us because I interrupted you
That's
there.
what we do. It's fine. It's fine. Well, what I was starting to say was how we could like expand out on lunch foods, for example, um,
Yeah.
and that was just an example, right? Because we're talking about how lunch meals can be like school lunch meals can be very like this is what we eat. 1, 2, 3. These are our foods, just like you explained from
Hmm.
like Audrey's meals, right?
Hmm.
And how we take that therapy room as a safe space and then we expand upon that safe space. Okay, well, now we've tried these here and we feel safe eating them here. You like them here. We recognize that you could try them next time and not like them. Like we have those conversations. And that's what I love about working with older kids is that we can genuinely have these real conversations. Like we can talk about it. We can feel it. Like, where do you feel this in your body?
Hmm.
Okay, you clearly didn't like the taste of that food, but it felt okay. Or, oh, I could tell that didn't feel good. But the taste was okay,
Oh,
right? So it's so fun to explore in the therapy room. But then the next step is taking it out of the therapy room and being like, okay, now these are the safe foods that we have. Let's make a meal plan for the next week just for lunch, Maybe we're doing maybe we're doing dinners, whatever it is, and we can assign that task to a child to make those decisions. But then we also have to count on the parents to be able to be like, "I've got this now. We're going to go to the store
Yeah.
and we're going to do this."
Uh-huh.
But then sometimes we just don't have that capability.
Yeah, so I want parents to know that it's okay to be honest with their therapist about that.
Hmm.
I want therapists to not have an attitude like, "Oh, I'm just not getting any carryover." Right? The
Non-compliant.
whole yeah, like you're not in there every day. Like you got to consider that and you should be making this a part of the conversation from the beginning.
Absolutely.
Because when you have an open, honest relationship like you and I do, and I was able to say, like, hey, I'm not doing my part right now and I can't. But you
Hmm.
know that,
Hmm.
right? You're not going like, oh, she didn't need any, this carryover wasn't done because Audrey wasn't capable or the child wasn't capable. The parent's telling me that they are having limitations right now.
Yep.
And it's part of the big picture.
Well, and to be very honest, like that is how some of the children coming into our care are shaped.
I know.
It's not always just the kid. Sometimes it's the family dynamic, and that's okay. And I think the biggest thing is to understand that we're all coming from a different perspective. We're coming like from different backgrounds. Man, we growing up, how many of us were raised by selective eaters? How many of us were raised with really unhealthy habits around food because of just how we were raised? And then we bring that into raising our children or our partner's experience with food, you know?
Hmm.
Like we really do need to, like you said, have an open, honest conversation about everything. And this is not just like, oh, my kid won't eat this. A lot of times they
Yeah.
can't, too.
Well, and yeah, because it also brings the point of like, you and Teresa and I have talked about this. It's like what you're talking about in that moment just now is environment.
Hmm.
But then what we were talking about inside of my body and my burnout and what happens is internal,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so to keep in mind too, like I can always relate to these kids and I can even see it in my own child that there are periods of time where she is open to learning food, and there are periods of time where we are hitting a wall. And I am confident it's because what is going on inside of me right now is what's going on inside of her in those moments. And so taking a step back with the child and being like, well, what else is going on with them right now? Are they in burnout? Because sometimes our kids are.
Hmm.
School and activities and certain
Peers.
ages, like we're learning certain social, and there's all this development happening, and it's like, is your system overloaded in other ways, and your body is prioritizing those things?
Yeah. And here's another one. Sleep.
Sleep.
And we're not going to dig into this one because sleep has such an impact on our nervous system and our ability to eat, but our eating has an ability to impact our sleep. That's why we're looking at everything when these kids are coming into our care. Like, what does sleep look like? What does
Hmm.
breathing look like? What does eating look like? All of these things.
Hmm.
So which one is impacting the other? What's the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, they have a relationship on both
Hmm.
sides. Hmm.
Correct.
Yeah,
And us as
I
parents
think
as
as a
well.
therapist, when I'm watching, oof, even when I'm like on Instagram or TikTok, gosh, I'm so overwhelmed by all the information about picky eating that's on there right now because I just think it's like so narrow-minded. Um, but even as a therapist and the way that we're trained, you and I are very good at thinking outside the box. So we bring these things into our clinic and
Yeah.
our therapy sessions. But we're taught that way. this is sensory, or this is motor, or this is behavioral, or this is
Really look
environmental. And it's
down
like,
that little
yeah, it's just
lens.
like really narrow scope of like looking at things. And it's like, oh yeah, if we just do this amount of exposure to this food, this kid's going to accept this food and they're going to eat it. Which I think is true. Like I said, I exposed myself to broccoli a bazillion times and I cooked it a bunch of different ways and I found a way that I like to eat it. A couple ways. I didn't always like broccoli,
Yep, same.
but even though I did that work, I still slide into this and then I come back out of it. It's a missing piece. We're not as a profession considering this, especially in our neurodivergent kids.
And what would be the percentage of neurodivergency in our clinic? Almost all of them?
Uh, I bet all of them.
To include all of us?
I bet all of us. All of us. Yes, this is part of my self-learning over the past several years, right? Is like learning that
Mhm.
about myself, not having to give it hard labels necessarily, but the more I learn and the
Right.
more I look introspectively, I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah,
That
you
makes sense.
identify with this. Yeah, yeah, totally. This makes sense. And I understand myself better for it, and that's great. Um, but I think we're missing the mark. And again, it's like two sides of that, right? It's like what I'm saying about, potentially neurodivergent people, people with selective eating habits, and like watching that nervous system and seeing how that progress can kind of be up and down, and not taking those moments of like, oh my gosh, we're hitting a wall. It's like, it may not be the end all be all, right? It may not be this regression that's going to stick around forever. But when we see it, we
Yes,
should look
absolutely.
at the individual and be like, well, what else is going on? And then the other piece of that is when we're working in therapies and working with dietitians and doing all of this work to see if we can get more well-rounded diet for our kids who are presenting this way, of like being really open with your therapist about what you are struggling with as a parent. Because also neurodivergence is genetic. So like what's going on with you, and give yourself grace and just help them see the whole picture and try to go into that with, and if you can't go into your therapist and like have these conversations, like maybe you need a new therapist. A new feeding therapist is what I'm talking about specifically. Well,
It could
yeah.
be appropriate for
Well,
anybody.
but if we're not taking the whole family dynamic, like feeding, especially with children, is developed within a relationship. And I tell families that all the time because I work with like the younger ones, right? Like we do have to
Hmm.
address your environment and your attitude towards food and your attitude when your child refuses something. Like that is a part of the picture, but maybe there's some work on your end that you need to be aware of, and it needs, I would consider that like a piece of holistic therapy, right? Holistic feeding therapy is taking all of those things into account with the full family dynamic and treating it all together.
Absolutely. And I think something else to consider within that lens is giving yourself, as the parent, the ability to repair a relationship with your child after maybe not responding the way you felt like was best. Because we all have those moments where, especially like, let's think the morning routine, and we're all stressed, we're all rushed, and we need you to eat something. And maybe we snap at our kiddo, and then,
Yeah.
it's a spiral downfall from there. And then just being like, hey, in this moment, I didn't react in a way that helped you, and I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
teaches our kids how to apologize as well and be like, hey, we're not always going to be perfect. We're not always going to handle this well.
Yeah.
And it creates even more of a safe space to be human.
Yeah, because you
Our
can't be perfect
children.
all the time. You're going to have those moments, right? And because
Yep.
that's the other thing we're taught as feeding therapists is like, okay, we got to train the parent how to respond to the refusals. sure, I can do that beautifully someday. I can respond in all the right ways. And then there are days, especially when I'm in the state that I'm in now, my responses are not beautiful and perfect all of the time. And I would say that
And
what you just said is
patient.
something I'm really good at. To be like, you never deserve to be yelled at. I lost my cool. That's never your fault. I am sorry. And I'm going to do better next time. Right? Like, and I think it's, as a parent, it's worth its weight in gold to, like, you should actively be working to be better. But because I am neurodivergent, I have emotional dysregulation too. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, again, it's this much deeper layered thing than we are giving it credit for sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think the takeaway is today?
Oh gosh. For parents, I would say looking introspectively at your own shit, for lack of a better word, and being honest about your side of this, giving yourself grace in those moments, looking at your kid in a bigger, like a wider lens when it comes to some of this, like selective eating stuff. And then if you're a therapist or professional listening, I hope you took a lot from that, of what we just said, and like I hope it changes your practice a little. Like if you felt a little triggered by what we were saying about like looking too narrow, I'm sorry that you are feeling that way by what we said. But I hope that me being vulnerable and sharing my experience will hopefully alter the way you're looking at it, and hopefully give you some extra tools to bring into your therapy room, especially with kids that you feel like progress maybe is a little limited. So yeah, those are my big takeaways, and we're gonna wrap it up. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Spill Your Milk. We hope today's episode brought you some clarity, comfort, and practical tips for your feeding journey.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with fellow parents and professionals who might need a little extra support.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Spill Your Milk Pod for more tips, resources, and behind-the-scenes content.
Until next time, remember, every drop of effort you're putting in makes a difference. Keep spilling your milk, and we'll see you soon.